Hello, welcome to the Health Breakdown. If you're over 60, it's no secret that your body begins to change in ways that might surprise you. The foods that once worked for you may not anymore, and the choices you make today can carry a bigger impact than they did in your younger years. That's why it's so important to take a closer look at the little things you might be overlooking, like the types of nuts you snack on. Yes, nuts. Something so small, so ordinary, and yet, it can make a big difference depending on what your body needs at this stage in life. See, once you hit that 60 mark, your metabolism starts to slow down. Digestion changes. Your heart, joints, and even your memory become more sensitive to what you fuel them with. And while nuts are often praised as healthy, not all of them are created equal, especially when it comes to the needs of someone in their 60s and beyond. There are certain nuts that can quietly work against you, throwing off balance in ways you might not even notice until they've been part of your routine for too long. That stiffness you've been feeling, that foggy thinking, even that stubborn weight that just won't budge. Sometimes the culprit is hiding in the things you've been told are good for you. Now here's where it gets even more important. The body becomes less forgiving with age. It's not just about calories anymore. It's about how different foods interact with your changing system. What you could shrug off at 40 or 50 might linger longer and hit harder at 60 or 70. The kinds of fats, the oils used to roast them, the additives, even the way nuts are processed, all of it can have a greater effect. And unfortunately, the wrong ones can contribute to inflammation, make blood sugar harder to control, and weigh heavily on your digestion. It's like giving your body more work to do when it's already doing its best to stay balanced. But here's the good news. While there are a few you really should avoid, there are also nuts that can actually support your body right now. They can give you clean energy, help you feel satisfied without overdoing it, and even provide nutrients that support your joints, your heart, and your brain. It's not about giving up nuts altogether, it's about choosing the ones that work with you, not against you. And once you know which ones fall into which group, it becomes a simple shift that can lead to better days, more energy, and even clearer thinking. So before you reach into that snack drawer again, just know there are 3 nuts you should absolutely steer clear of, and 3 that deserve a permanent spot in your diet. You've been warned. Let me be clear about something. This isn't just about snacking smarter. This is about awareness. There's a reason I use strong language when I said, never touch and must eat. It's not for drama. It's because, after a certain age, the margin for error gets smaller. You can't afford to play guessing games with your body anymore. What you put in matters now more than ever, and some things that seem harmless or even helpful can actually chip away at your energy, your focus, and your well-being. So yes, I'm going to say it like it is, even if it sounds harsh. There are nuts you should never touch. The reason I'm using this kind of language isn't to scare you. It's to shake you awake. Too many people in their 60s and 70s are doing all the right things on paper, eating what they think is healthy, following the advice they've heard over and over, and still wondering why they feel sluggish, stiff, or just not quite themselves. They've been told to eat more nuts for fiber, for protein, for good fats. But no one ever mentioned that some of those very same nuts can be loaded with seed oils, packed with sodium, or coated in sugars and chemicals that completely undo the benefits they're supposed to offer. You see, when your system is already more sensitive due to age, the wrong ingredients can create a chain reaction. One bad nut choice might not seem like a big deal, but when you eat it day after day, week after week, your body starts to feel it. The inflammation creeps in. Your joints might ache a little more. Your stomach feels off. You get that crash in the afternoon that didn't used to happen. And it's all because of something you thought was healthy. That's why I say never touch, because the damage isn't always immediate, but it is very real. On the flip side, there are nuts that can help your body feel lighter, clearer, and even younger, ones that support what your body is trying to do naturally as it adjusts to the years ahead. But if you're still holding on to the wrong ones, hoping they'll suddenly start working for you, you're holding yourself back. That's the difference between coasting and thriving. And that's the power of being informed, not scared, but aware. So when I say never touch, I mean it from a place of knowing what that long-term toll can look like. I've seen it, time and again. And when I say must eat, I'm pointing you toward the small, simple choices that can make all the difference day by day, bite by bite. This isn't about restriction. It's about clarity, about knowing where to draw the line and why. You've been warned. Let me ask you something simple. Have you ever noticed how much easier it is to pay attention when someone draws a clear line between what helps and what hurts? That's not by accident. That contrast between the good and the bad, the musts and the nevers, is exactly what your body has been trying to tell you for years. It's just that no one ever laid it out in a way that actually clicked. That's why I'm not here to sugarcoat things or speak in soft generalities. I'm here to give you the clarity your body's been craving. That clear contrast between what belongs in your life and what doesn't. The problem today isn't just confusion, it's overload. You hear one thing about a nut being full of antioxidants, and the next day, someone tells you the same nut can mess with your gut or spike your blood pressure. That back and forth, it leaves you stuck. But when you're over 60, stuck is not a place you can afford to be. You need direction, not just options. You need someone to look you in the eye and say, these three never again. And these three, make them part of your day. It's not about being dramatic. It's about being direct. Because sometimes direct is the only way forward. Think about how powerful that kind of clarity is. Instead of standing in the snack aisle wondering which bag of nuts is going to help you feel better or worse, you'll already know. That confidence matters. It frees up mental space. It gives you a sense of control again. And if you've ever felt like your body is no longer entirely your own, that kind of certainty can be a game changer. When you know the difference, when it's laid out in black and white, you're not second guessing anymore. You're choosing with intention. That's what the contrast is there for. Not to scare you, but to empower you. Now, you may be asking, can it really be that simple? And the truth is, yes, it can. The reason it hasn't felt simple is because no one's been honest enough or bold enough to draw the line clearly. That ends now. It's not a maybe or a suggestion. It's a line in the sand. These three nuts are working against your goals, your energy, your clarity. The other three, they're giving back. They're working with your body, not against it. They're nourishing you in a way that fits where you are right now, not where you used to be. So don't ignore that contrast. It's not just a list of foods. It's a roadmap for the years ahead, a signal to pay closer attention and act with intention. That's how you move forward with strength. That's how you stop guessing and start choosing like someone who knows what's at stake. Now let's take a moment to think about what really happens as we get older, not in theory, but in everyday life. You notice little things, like meals that used to sit well suddenly feel heavy. You might not bounce back from poor sleep or a long day the way you used to. And you start feeling more aware of what your body is asking for, even if you can't always tell exactly what it needs. That's why I keep coming back to something as simple as nuts, because it's the little things that either support your body or weigh it down. And once you're past 60, those little things speak a lot louder than they used to. It's easy to think that a handful of mixed nuts can't possibly make much of a difference. But what's in that handful matters. Not just the kind of nut, but how it's been processed, roasted, flavored, even packaged. These things may seem small, but they hit harder now. Your system doesn't filter, absorb, or recover the way it did when you were 30 or 40. What used to be a minor inconvenience can now lead to bloating, fatigue, stiffness, or even mood swings. And the tricky part, you might not connect the dots right away. You think it's stress or age or bad sleep, when in reality, it could be coming from something as small as what's in your daily snack. There's also this common trap people fall into, assuming that all nuts are healthy just because they're natural. That's not the case. Some are packed with omega-6 fats that can stir up inflammation. Some are roasted in cheap seed oils that your body struggles to break down. Others are coated in sugar or salt, silently spiking your levels and leaving you more tired than nourished. You don't see these effects right away, and that's what makes them dangerous. They build slowly, quietly, and then all at once, you're dealing with aches, dips in energy, or a foggy head that no amount of coffee can fix. But I want you to understand something important. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Because once you become aware of what your body needs at this stage of life, everything changes. You stop following trends and start paying attention to what truly supports your system. That's when you'll begin to feel lighter, clearer, and stronger. And it won't come from some major overhaul. It'll come from making smarter, simpler choices, like choosing the right kind of nut. So the next time you reach for that bag, think beyond the label. Think about what your body is actually asking for. Think about what gives you energy, steadiness, and real support. Because right now, more than ever, your body is talking. You just have to be willing to listen and respond accordingly. Let's be honest, these days, you're bombarded with headlines. Every scroll, every click, someone's telling you what to eat, what to avoid, what miracle food is going to change everything. It's exhausting. And in the middle of all that noise, something as simple as nuts somehow gets swept into the mix. One day they're a superfood. The next, they're a danger to your heart or your waistline. It's no wonder people feel overwhelmed. But that's exactly why this message has to be different, because this isn't about trends or viral tips. This is about cutting through the noise and telling you the plain truth, clearly and directly. And yes, I made the title sound bold. I made it sound urgent. That wasn't an accident. That was on purpose. Because when you're over 60, you don't have time to waste chasing half-truths or trying to decode mixed messages. You need clarity. You need someone to say, here's what helps, here's what doesn't. End of story. The words never touch and must eat are there for a reason. They snap you out of autopilot. They demand attention. They say, this matters more than you think. See, a lot of messages out there dance around the issue. They want to stay neutral, say everything in moderation, keep things soft and polite. But when something can impact your energy, your clarity, your mobility, and even how you feel when you wake up in the morning, soft isn't what you need. You need direction. You need a line drawn clearly, with no room for confusion. That's what this message is. It's not meant to scare you, it's meant to free you from guessing. And here's what makes this different from the usual noise. This is based on patterns that keep showing up. Patterns in people who are doing everything right but still not feeling like themselves. People who swap out snacks, start eating healthy, but don't see the change they hoped for. Why? Because they're still holding on to one or two habits that work against them without realizing it. Often, it's the very foods they were told to trust, like certain nuts, or how they're prepared, or what they're combined with. So when I say clickbait, I'm not denying it sounds that way. I'm saying maybe that's what it takes to finally get your attention and point it in the right direction. This is about delivering a message that sticks. A message you remember the next time you're about to toss something into your cart or grab a snack from the pantry. It's not about hype, it's about cutting through it. Because when it comes to what your body needs at this point in your life, there's no room for guesswork. You deserve straight answers. You deserve to feel in control again. And sometimes, it starts with something as small as knowing which nuts belong in your life and which ones don't. Let me tell you something not enough people say out loud. You're not imagining it. That shift you've felt, the one where your body reacts differently to the same foods you used to enjoy without a second thought, that's real. And you deserve to understand why. At this point in life, there's no more room for guesswork or vague advice. You've earned better than that. You need specifics. You need someone to sit you down and tell you, this is what works, and this is what's holding you back. That's why this message had to come across the way it did. Because too often, the truth gets buried under soft suggestions or wrapped up in technical terms. But when your well-being is on the line, sugarcoating isn't doing you any favors. You see, when I say, you've been warned, I'm not saying it to scare you. I'm saying it because you deserve to have the full picture. There are things you've probably been told are healthy, safe, even essential, like a handful of this nut or that one, without anyone ever explaining the other side of the story. No one told you that some of those nuts are processed with inflammatory oils, or that the salt and sugar content is quietly sabotaging your energy. No one told you how they can throw off your digestion or leave you feeling heavier than you should. You were just told they're healthy, so you kept eating them. That's not your fault. But now that you know better, you get to do better. And here's the powerful part: when you finally have the right information, it's like flipping on a light switch. Suddenly, those small choices you make throughout the day start working for you, not against you. You notice the difference. You feel it in your focus, in how easily you move, in the way your clothes fit, even in your mood. That's the kind of shift that doesn't require a complete lifestyle overhaul. It just takes a little awareness and a few clear choices. And it starts by knowing exactly what to avoid and what to embrace. That's why I'm not here to throw around vague advice or suggest everything in moderation. I'm here to tell you that there are 3 nuts that simply don't belong in your routine anymore, and 3 that absolutely do. This isn't based on trends. It's based on what actually supports your body, your clarity, and your ability to keep doing what you love. You deserve to feel steady. You deserve to feel strong. And sometimes, that starts with just knowing the truth about what's on your plate or in your hand. So the next time someone tries to sell you the same tired advice, remember that real change doesn't come from hype. It comes from knowing what's true, trusting what you feel, and choosing what serves you, not what sells best.